Texting.
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 Texting. Texting. Texting. Texting.
Texting.
Texting.
Mark, Will, and Tomek present
Texting.
Hello, all you textual deviants, and welcome to Season 4, Episode 4 of Texting. My name is Black-Eyed Angel in St. Petersburg.
And I'm Kid MW in Taipei.
And for those of you who picked up on our tangential references, today we will be discussing the seminal band of my generation, Radiohead, and a personal favorite album of mine, Amnesiac, chosen by my co-host, Kid MW.
And it's seminal because it's full of semen.
Thank you. We're going to start with a 90-second readout to inform you of the basic stats around the band, get you in that Radiohead state of mind. So here we go. Radiohead is an English rock band formed in Oxfordshire in 1985. The members of Radiohead met while attending Abingdon School, a private school for boys in Oxfordshire. The guitarist and singer Tom York and the bassist Colin Greenwood were in the same year. The guitarist Ed O'Brien was 1 year above, and the drummer Philip Selway was in the year above O'Brien. Colin's brother, the multi-instrumentalist Johnny Greenwood, was 3 years below Colin and York and the last to join. The lineup consists of Tom York, lead vocals, piano guitar, Johnny Greenwood, lead guitar, keyboards, orchestration, Ed O'Brien, guitar, backing vocals, Colin Greenwood, bass, Phil Selway, drums. At the helm, Tom York, vocalist, lyricist, and reluctant prophet of unease, whose voice oscillates between a wounded whisper and a banshee's wail. They released their debut album Pablo Honey in 1993, but it was 1995's The Bends that established their signature sound, atmospheric yet muscular alternative rock with emotionally raw lyrics. Their 1997 masterpiece OK Computer redefined what rock music could be, a conceptual work about technology and alienation that's regularly named one of the greatest albums ever made. With 2000's Kid A and 2001's Amnesiac, they underwent a radical reinvention, incorporating electronic elements, jazz influences, and experimental textures while maintaining their emotional core. Here we have an image, those of you watching the YouTube, of Abingdon School. And again, they formed circa 1985 when Black-Eyed Angel was 3. Okay. Thank you. Some of you may just be listening to this podcast to get the ASMR quality of my voice. But those of you watching will be privy to some entertaining and insightful meme/commentaries now on the band. And Mark, you are more than welcome to react to any of this. The image we're looking at now is Radiohead's discography, including the dates of their album releases, a few of which I already mentioned, and a few bullet points about each album. So I guess the only things I'll re-mention is that, again, Amnesiac came out in 2001, approximately 9 months after Kid A. Kid A was this departure album where a lot of people went, what the fuck? And after Amnesiac, 2 years later, we get Hail to the Thief. 2007, In Rainbows. 2011, The King of Limbs. 2016, A Moon-Shaped Pool.
But
do you want to
Kid
say anything
A
about this? Yeah, please.
Yeah, Kid A and Amnesiac were originally conceived of as a double album.
Right.
But then they decided to release them separately.
Right. For a variety of reasons. One of which is just considered unwieldy. Is it unwieldy or unwieldy?
Unwieldy.
Thank you. Unwieldy. Although one of my favorite groups, Outkast, had a very successful double album. And I'm sure when I say double album, I'm sure a lot of albums come to mind for you. What's your favorite double album?
White Album.
Okay. So yeah, I think it would have been possible. How much of a difference there is in the two albums, I would have to think about that. For me, I guess Amnesiac has always just been a little bit more dancey and more purely electronic, a bit more spaced out, atmospheric. I guess that's why I tend to favor it over Kid A, although these are my two favorite Radiohead albums. I think just because
Really?
because I'm just more electronic music, inclined.
Oriented. Okay,
yeah.
well, I mean, I chose it. I mean, we should say that, like, you picked the general topic. You said you wanted to do a Radiohead album, and you asked me
Right.
to pick one. Why did I pick Amnesiac? Well, because I knew Pyramid Song, and I thought, okay, it's Pyramid Song is on this album. I'd like to explore this album further. And then I learned that it was actually released on my 30th birthday, according to Wikipedia. But then on Spotify, it said it was a different date, like earlier. So I'm not sure which is accurate, but
Okay.
yeah, that's why I ended up picking it, knowing really nothing about it. And as I've mentioned before, I'm not really a Radiohead fan. We can talk origin stories later, I guess. But
So when you say you're not a Radiohead fan, is that because of kind of lack of exposure, or just an actual like decision that this is not really your sound?
maybe a bit of both. But you
I mean, because
know,
you could be, right? You could become.
well, yeah. I mean, uh, would I become a fan, as in a fanatic? I don't know. But I certainly enjoyed this listening experience, and I would say this is a great album.
You have to listen to. Have you heard OK Computer?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I was going to discuss that, when we talk origin stories. But yeah, that was really my first exposure to them, and that's great too, obviously.
And have you heard Kid A?
I have, but I've not studied it carefully or closely.
Because
I've
I'm
not
inclined to
audited
think.
it
I'm inclined to think that
carefully.
it would not be that difficult to convert you into a fan. I don't need that that suffix of attic is not as crucial to me, but I just have such a strong belief in the quality of the albums. So, like,
Mhm.
also Hail to the Thief, also In Rainbows, even The Bends. I mean, I think these are all classics. Just
Mhm.
the quality is so high. Songwriting.
Don't forget
and-
Pablo Honey.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be my next choice for texting. So, Radiohead diehards, stay tuned. All right, let's keep moving. Here's a funny meme I found. On the left, we see. Okay, so we've got we're looking at 9 different Radiohead albums, and they're categorized according to 6 different labels. Guitars,
Mhm.
in the middle, beep boop, meaning more of like an electronic sound, more
Mhm.
beeps, computers. And then at the bottom, we've got them divided by depression, bit of both, or we live in a society. So I guess according to this, the 3 most positive albums are Hail to the Thief, OK Computer, and King of Limbs. Personally, it seems like In Rainbows is a gentler album to me
Most
than
positive meaning least depressed.
I guess. I mean, it seems like we live in a society that would seem like the opposite, right? According to this categorization. Obviously, we don't need to trust this at all, but
Well, is it just? I mean, when I see that, it looks to me like it's just solipsism versus extroversion, or introversion.
Actually, that's a good
versus
point.
Extroversion.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it could be more like we live in a society could be more about like commenting on the world that they're living in.
And trying to interact with others instead of being, mired in this existential angst or something.
Yeah, or just being more reflective, right? Maybe there's like more just
Yeah.
of an insular feel.
But it's interesting that it's like, reflection doesn't have to be depressing, but that's the word they chose. And that is like a criticism I've heard about the band and York's lyrics. Like I have a Canadian friend who says, yeah, I can't get into them because it's too depressing.
Yeah, I want to address that point in particular in just a second. So again, coming back to just the instrumentation, you can see that the album that you've chosen, it goes in the beat boop category. Obviously, there are some exceptions, but yeah. So if you did want to dig into the more of the guitars, for sure, the Bends is like a purely rock album, and then Hail to the Thief has a lot of like driving guitar sounding songs.
Well, there's some great guitar in this too. I would, if I were asked, not knowing the rest of the catalog, I would have said, "Oh, it's probably in the middle." But okay,
Yeah.
maybe it's more beat boop,
or maybe it's more just in terms of their overall catalog, like where it stands. All right, here's another reductive but amusing meme. So each album has been given like a most what rating. We've got the Bends
for Pablo Honey.
Yeah, an A for Pablo Honey. I've never heard Pablo Honey, so yeah, maybe I should probably listen to it.
Well, you've heard at least one song. The song everyone's heard.
That's true. That's true. The less we say about that, the better. No. Most direct is the Bends.
Why? Isn't it a great song? I mean, Prince covered it. I think Dylan did a version of it. I mean, it's a great song. They have nothing to be ashamed of. We're talking about Creep.
Yeah, it's a great song, but I still, I don't want to listen to it. You know what I mean?
I'll bet you would if you heard it live.
I don't know. Like, I know how, Tom York has distanced himself from that song. It's frustrated him how the band kind of got attached to that song. And I think they've made a point of not playing it out much.
Okay.
It's a great song, but I also understand why they wouldn't want that song to be the song people think of when they think of Radiohead. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, okay, most direct, the Bends, most impactful, influential, OK Computer, Kid A, the greatest artistic achievement, Amnesiac, most vibey, which, again, that's how I would have described it, I think. I think that's why I was attracted to it, the vibes. I love, like, atmospheric music. Most diverse, eclectic.
It also says eccentric. Most vibey, eccentric.
Yeah.
Okay.
In Rainbow's best songwriting, most universal. I think you could also even say accessible. And most experimental, unique, King of Limbs. I need to give that more time, and I have not even listened to the 2016 release, which is called Moon-Shaped Pool. Thank you. Which is called Most Intimate Emotional. Here.
How do I know that and you don't?
Because you have more of an encyclopedic memory than I do.
Well,
I just feel
there
things.
was a song on that I liked a lot. Burn the Witch. Is that what it's called? It's really
I do know
good.
that song. Yeah.
Yeah. Good video too. Interesting. I need a pen to be writing down notes, and I don't have one available here.
Should I pause?
No, carry on. I'll be right back.
While you're looking for the pen, I'm going to talk about the connection to depression. Radiohead were an important band for me and my best friends in my college years, starting around age 17 to, let's say, 22, 23. Those were the years that Radiohead were really crucial to my existence, to my dance parties with my friends.
We're doing origin stories now?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, and the time of life that this band hit me. So, again, great music to smoke to dance to lose yourself to. And according to that criteria, what I'm going to say now doesn't really jive, but I will just say that when life became more about productivity, which of course is ironic when we think about some of the lyrics from Hail to the Thief, for example, where it's like more productive, and it's like kind of mocking that.
That's OK Computer. Fitter, happier,
yeah,
more
fitter,
productive.
happier. Exactly. Okay. I think Hail to the Thief has some similar lyrics, but yeah, thanks for correcting that. So there is some irony in the fact that when I entered more of that state of mind as a teacher, especially where I often have to be on the go and I can't really afford to be melancholy, I feel, when I want to like be putting my best face forward for my kids all the time and can't fall behind on stuff. So I don't really want to get into Radiohead states of mind. And that's why in my early 30s, the place that Radiohead had in my kind of musical listening experience was replaced by Animal Collective, who also had the psychedelic atmospheric qualities of Radiohead, but with a more uplifting and optimistic tone. So, and that was like an important shift for me. But that doesn't deny the quality of the music. And I've been okay coming back to this album, for example. So maybe I'm past that particularly vulnerable moments. Maybe as I get older, I'm able to kind of return to it. But I will say that there's a markedly downbeat and glum tone to much of Radiohead's music. So I would agree with your friend's characterization.
Well, we've got a message in the chat saying, too depressing? Surely not depressing enough. Self-Pres 4-Wing 5, isn't it? Ooh, drum rolls. A Radiohead discussion definitely needs lots of silly sound effects. Oh, we can share that. Let's do it. Show on stream. Look at that. Too depressing? Surely not depressing enough. Yeah. And then why not share the other one too? Where is it? Okay. Oh, there. Ooh, drum rolls. Yeah, I'm gonna make use of the full battery of silly sound effects. You guys are on good form today. Okay, I feel out of it. It's like 1 a.m. here, and I just woke up from
I presume
a
that's
nap.
Steve, and big love and hugs and shout outs to our favorite idiot abroad.
It's Ernest Games.
It's interesting that he's taken on your...
Yeah, we've talked about that. It's yeah. Oh,
But that's cool.
The message
He's sampling
disappeared.
and
he's got
tributing
clients
you.
now, but hopefully we'll rejoin if we're still doing this.
Cheers, Steve. Big ups.
Yeah,
Big
thanks.
up yourself.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say? I encouraged him to rename his channel after my book, Ernest Games, and you know, maybe it'll attract more readers. But okay, so I have something to say about the question of depression, but
yeah, and I'd like to know, like, okay, but do you want to at least respond to whether this album has that mood to you?
At times, yeah. I mean, the what's it called, like Spinning Plates track.
I love that song.
The first time I heard that, I had like suicidal ideation. It's like there's something about it that is very dark and devastating. That's not the right word, but like
It's a nice word though.
No, but it just, there's a hopelessness about it. It's like
I prefer devastating.
Okay, well then let it be devastating. Yeah, I just felt
Resigned?
like I'm not enjoying this. I feel like I'm losing my mind listening to this, and not in a good way.
I would say
and maybe that was partly due to the video. It seems to be like Kubrick inspired, kind of 2001. They're like 2001 vibes to it, but it's just very, I don't know, there's that feeling of existential angst. Oh, and dread. That's the other D word
dread's a good word as well.
I was looking for. Not so much devastated or depressed, but there's just
dread is, you're right, dread's even more
dread.
apt.
It's like
I would say that I just wanted to add the antidote for me to the depressing tone is the beauty. So it's like, you know, maybe in a similar way that tragedy or other great works of art, I mean, the beauty is hopeful in a way, right? I mean, if you live in a world that can write something sad but also has that beauty.
I love the darkness and I love tragedy. It's cathartic, right? But this particular track didn't, at least on the initial listen or two, didn't provide any catharsis for me. I just felt hopeless and almost physically ill listening to it. I mean, it's good to experience that kind of thing because it's new and different, but it's not like gonna become my new jam that I want to listen to on a regular basis. You know, there are other tracks on this album that are much more listenable in that
Yeah,
sense.
and again, I'll just say though, for my own very specific personal taste, I prefer to go dark sad than dark angry, for example, and like that sadness, I would say would be more inclined to like melodic beauty, whereas anger might go more to like metal sounds, you know, or like more like of a shouty vocal. So for me, I can simmer, I can, or other words, wallow or bathe, whatever. Let's move on.
Well, it's I can't remember the phrase you used. Dark. You said dark angry versus dark what?
Sad,
Dark
gloomy.
sad. Yeah, but
Yeah.
this is like again, we're focusing on one particular track, but and
No, I'm
maybe that.
not. I'm
Well,
talking about
okay,
their sound.
all right, fine. But I'm talking about this track. It's more. It was more like dark, hopeless, and it just is. It was unsettling and not in a good way. Here's another uh, message from the chat. York, without the E, is SP4 or maybe a 5. Oops, that disappears too quickly. Maybe a 5 with strong 4 wing. That's the vibe I get off him anyway. How does it feel to have Ernest Games commenting on your discussion? I like the meta aspect of this. Exactly, yeah. And then spelling correction. Where'd it go? All right.
I promised you a very short reading on this album in particular, okay? So I'll just read that briefly. Amnesiac is Radiohead's fifth studio album, released just 8 months after Kid A. Initially conceived as part of the same recording sessions, Amnesiac stands on its own as a darker, more fragmented and jazz-influenced counterpart to Kid A. Tom York describes Amnesiac as the other side of the brain compared to Kid A. And the album blends jazz noir on songs like Life in a Glass House, featuring a full brass band, glitchy electronica, tracks like Pull Pull Revolving Doors, piano balladry, songs like Pyramid Song, You and Whose Army, and dystopian rock, I Might Be Wrong, Knives Out. I'm not necessarily co-signing on all those
Descriptions, yeah.
I do think the overall genre labels are interesting, like glitchy electronica, dystopian rock. I like that. I don't know if I would go as far as jazz noir or piano balladry. I feel like those are deceptive. Yeah. So the album comes in at 44 minutes
is
and
Pyramid
11
Song
songs.
is Pyramid Song really a ballad? That's
Yeah.
not the first word that would come to mind, but okay.
So we're looking at I think, fan-made adaptation of the cover art.
Mm-hmm.
I've inserted the definition of an amnesiac, which is a person who has lost their memory. Center stage is this weeping minotaur. And for those of you watching, you can see my vinyl cover here.
We've talked about the minotaur in relation to Picasso. I think, right? Haven't we?
We have, yeah, on our Guernica discussion.
Right. Well, we didn't talk about Guernica specifically. That came up when we were talking about the weeping woman, one of the weeping woman Dora Maar paintings. But yeah, so anytime I see a minotaur in modern artwork, I think of Picasso. But
does this even look like a minotaur, though?
Exactly. Like I read that, but I thought, oh, that's what that is, and he's weeping. Like what?
I mean, the artist himself has said it, so I'm just saying it's not like someone's just
right. But what? I don't understand the significance of it. I mean, the title I read somewhere in the past couple of weeks as we've been listening to this that the title was inspired by the Platonic notion that when we are born we forget our previous lives, our previous incarnations, and start over. So
that's interesting.
Had you not heard that?
No.
Okay, I don't know where I saw it, but apparently that was the idea. Like each new birth is it involves a wiping of memory of all previous existences, lives, incarnations. So in that sense, we're all amnesiacs from birth, trying to recover our memories. And as a Proustian, I kind of like that,
Right.
and maybe as a Neoplatonist as well. The most kind of Eastern or Asiatic aspect of Plato's philosophy, right? Like metempsychosis, which is the Greek term that he uses, and Joyce picks up on this in Ulysses. That's basically reincarnation,
Mm.
So,
I mean, York speaks specifically about what you're discussing when describing the origin of Pyramid Song. So I can either mention that now or we can come back to it.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, he just says, Hawk is a quote. Hawkins, he talks about time and the idea that time is completely cyclical. It's something I found in Buddhism. Pyramid Song is about the fact that everything is going in circles. It's not a desperate attempt to avoid death. It's not a desperate attempt to avoid life passing you by, getting old. That's all just bollocks. It's great. It's this really beautiful thing that's just going round and round and round.
Circular is a good word to include in a discussion of that song, because the composition is circular and trance inducing, and I don't know how to describe it. It's quite a unique composition. In a way, it reminds me of a Neil Young composition from the 70s, and I know that, or I've heard that York was very much influenced by, like, After the Gold Rush and that period of Neil Young's discography. But I mean, it's like it probably began life as that kind of tune. He's just banging around on the piano and he's like, okay, I'm gonna do this Neil Young piano song, and then the band joins in and it becomes a Radiohead song.
I mean, he says it took 5 minutes to write, which is pretty crazy, and it's the most popular track on the album. I mean, according to YouTube listens.
Yeah, that's that circular, repetitive quality, right? Like we always end where we began, and then it's kind of a loop. It's looping, right?
But let's come back to this discussion of Pyramid Song.
Sure.
Maybe we can just focus a little bit on, again, so this Minotaur, well, the Minotaur was trapped in a labyrinth, right? Sorry to sound dumb, but yeah, and I think that Radiohead have a lot to say about our, alienated and fractured modern existence. Mm-hmm. So, there's images there of the World Wide Web and the different sectioning off that happens. So the Minotaur maybe is trapped and represents us, right? I mean, that's a fairly crude and straightforward reading, but that seems...
Well, the Minotaur
logical.
is also a kind of hybrid creature, almost a cyborg, right? Not completely human. Part man, part bull, right? So we are all, in a way, paranoid androids, right? Not fully human, maybe also bestial, but in the modern age, we're also like maybe the bestial part is like this technology that has integrated itself into us, in a way, overtaken our human side, or at least tried to infiltrate it more so than integrate with it.
Yeah, I like the colors. We can see a pretty consistent color scheme here with Kid A. So Kid A's obviously got more of these like huge mountain peaks at the forefront, but essentially the color scheme is the same.
There's more of a white blue vibe to Kid A, right. Whereas the red black is more prominent with Amnesiac.
Yeah, I think it fits Radiohead's sound and the sound of this album. I wouldn't say it's like a stunning album cover.
What's with the torn cloth? It's like a linen cloth, some kind of artifact, and then this weeping Minotaur design is imprinted on it or drawn on it. and the fabric is fraying. Like what do you make of all that? And the font is the text, the title is so tiny. I mean, it's kind of an underwhelming album cover in a way, even
But again,
though
it's
apparently
vibey.
won awards.
It's vibey.
How so? How so?
Well, because it's focusing more on creating an atmosphere than it is of like, even if if we say that this is analogous to the actual sound of the album, it's not maybe giving you that like really memorable melody. Although again, everything I'm saying, as soon as I say it, I'm like, well, this but you get the point. If this is described as a more atmospheric album, then it's apropos that they go for more of an atmosphere. So you're buying what you expect, and
don't judge an album by its cover.
That's true as well. But I mean, yeah. So what's up with the small text? I mean, I think it's like it's kind of slick, I guess you could say, to do that. It's there's that subtlety that I think you're not trying to be like we're Radiohead, right? It's like if you're wearing
in rainbows.
Yeah, well, it's like if you're wearing a Tommy Hilfiger sweatshirt, but you want to be like a little more chill about it, you just put the logo in the top left rather than like, yo, I'm wearing Tommy Hilfiger.
So they had a branding.
Yeah, well, of course.
Scheme in
everything
mind.
is branding. You get the melancholy, obviously. The red is full of energy, which kind of matches some of the beats that we're going to hear. And they're maybe aspiring for something organic with the thread that you mentioned. So
yeah, like
and decay.
Despite decay, sure. Without all the, despite all the technology, we're trying to return to the organic in a way.
Yeah.
Or trying to relate to organic life.
Shall we get into... Well, actually, we meant to do this earlier when I gave a very abridged version of my origin story.
Yeah.
I didn't really give a story, but I just mentioned the time of life when I got into Radiohead. But if you think you have something to share,
I
absolutely give you that chance.
I remember it very clearly.
Okay.
It was right around the time of the release of OK Computer, which would have been, 98? What were the dates on that?
97.
97. Okay, so maybe it was 98 or 99. It would have been before the release of Kid A. But yeah, some students introduced it to me. I was at that time working at an Episcopal private school teaching Latin, and a lot of the boys would bring guitars to school, and I would teach them songs, and they would show me what they were working on. We talked a lot about music, more so than Latin, probably in most cases. But yeah, one of the kids had OK Computer, and I think he burned a CD for me, and I took it home and played it. That was one of the things I did back in those days when they would bring CDs to school. I would confiscate them, and I would say, I'm not going to give this back to you unless you burn a copy for me and bring it tomorrow. And they're like, okay. So yeah,
okay, Mr. Will.
Yeah, so I got quite a few CDs that way, and this was one of them. Yeah, from the Utes. This was one of them, and yeah, of course.
I just want to shout out my former student Alec. The chances of him listening to this are one in a million, but yeah, it was due to him that I got into Kendrick Lamar. So I also have a student.
If you're out there, yeah, Paranoid Android. That's like the Stairway to Heaven of the 90s.
That's right.
It's an undeniable epic masterpiece.
With an iconic music video as well, right?
Which one? That animated one?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And very long, and
yeah,
it got a lot of airplay on MTV.
Okay, so that I was impressed with that, and I still remember fitter, happier, more productive. I thought that was
fitter, happier, more productive.
Yeah, I thought
which very much fits with that whole Trainspotting aesthetic as well, right?
Does it?
Yeah, you know that Train Spotting poster where it's like choose life, choose a career.
Oh, okay.
So it's yeah. I guess I'm just saying it's if we look at Train Spotting being 1996, this is like a moment in pop culture, I would say, and these two Train Spotting was huge. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well, I don't know. I felt more of a glitchy. We used the word glitchy earlier, but glitchy dystopian vibe, which conceptually and lyrically, I was quite impressed with, and I think I've been influenced by it. Even like some of their titles, like 2+2=5, and
Hail to the Thief.
Hail to the Thief. I've used some of these phrases in like music videos, just like as cut up phrases that signify, a kind of disjointedness and dystopian vibe. We've used the word vibe quite a bit too. Yeah, so that's where it started for me. And then as a peace offering during our Russia trip, which became rather shambolic towards the end, you gave me like a Radiohead CD, which included. It's not a CD. You called it a computer CD, or I don't remember the term for it, but it had like several albums on it. You know what I'm talking about?
So I probably I gave you files that you could just open up on your computer.
No, you bought something at one of the record stores in Vladivostok. They had like a bootleg CD.
But even so, maybe it was like data on a CD that you would
like
in.
Like it's not a CD.
So it's like a USB but on a CD.
But there was a term for it. Like I was like, wait, how do I play this? You're like, it's a computer CD, dumbass, or whatever.
I would never use that term in my life, but yeah.
What's that?
It's a computer CD. No, I don't know it's maybe data, just like burn data or something. I don't know what term, but anyway.
Or was it a DVD CD? I don't know. Anyway.
Okay.
There's got to be a term for that, and we're fucking idiots to not know it.
But
it's a computer CD. Okay, computer.
But just without getting too melancholy, like the fact that music is so accessible. Thank you. It's profound, I agree. But the fact that music is so accessible now, definitely you lose something, The fact that it's not something that we share and that we acquire through some effort.
Of course. Yeah, that's the whole problem with streaming culture. And, I think we were still okay when the CD was the primary medium, even though people complained about,
burning
audio quality, the loss of quality, from cassette to CD, and from
what do you mean? That was an improvement.
LP to cassette. Not according to some people. They preferred like the analog sound to the
cassette better than CD.
Some people, yeah.
Fair
some
enough.
people do.
No, I mean fair enough. I wouldn't say like digitally.
No, because it's more compressed, so you're losing some of the warmth and analog qualities of tape. Like some people.
I fuck with tapes.
Yeah, some people definitely prefer that. But now with the with the streaming, and like you don't have to go to a store and look at various items and make a choice and purchase it. No, you just go to Spotify and push a button, It cheapens it.
Yeah. And I would argue even something like Napster that required a minute bit of effort, right? You still had to choose the band or the artist that you wanted to listen to. You still, there was still an intentionality that no longer exists. But again, I don't think it's still good that people can access music, in my opinion. It's still like all things considered, I'm for.
It's not good for the people making the music. Yeah,
it's not good for the artists, but they can make money other ways. I mean, that sounds really cynical, and I don't really endorse what I'm saying, but they can still play concerts. Anyway,
Yeah, but those of us who are studio bands or studio artists,
studio
yeah, it's
gangsters.
pretty grim. All
All
right,
right, should we move on? Yeah.
Yes, we should.
All right, so listener, the rest of my slides are going to be covering each track individually. There's no guarantee of how productive our subsequent conversation will be or how insightful. We will do our best. We are known to have stamina issues around the 90-minute mark. But regardless, we'll see how it goes. I'm sure Mark will have some interesting things to say. And we're not going to include music clips, but if you're inclined, I'll announce the track, you can give it a listen, and then listen to what we say about it. That might be a fun way for you to engage with the pod if you have the time to listen simultaneously.
Just go push that button. It's really
so we're going to
difficult.
start with track 1, and what I've predominantly got on these slides, if you're watching, is the lyrics. So I think both of us have some experience with close reading and poetry, so I think it could be a nice way to experience these tracks. Track 1, packed like sardines in a crushed tin box.
And obviously we have to ask, why the idiosyncratic spelling? Like, what's the point of that? Why do it? Is it necessary?
Okay, well, one thing that just came to mind for me is, like, think about it. If you're packed like a sardine in a crushed tin box, you don't even have space for vowels. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta pack in the sounds.
I just thought of that too as soon as I asked it, but it's kind of...
Especially when you look at this image, right?
Right.
I love this line. I think I don't know if has it been used. Is that something like from pop culture? Because I feel like I always think of this now, like, and I don't know if I should credit Radiohead or something that this idea of like packed like sardines. Is that an expression that already existed?
Yeah.
That's old school, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's Radiohead that definitely
crushed tin box. That part might be their innovation.
Okay.
I mean, I remember hearing women of my mom's generation saying, "Oh, we were packed like sardines."
Okay, yeah. It seems like a very readily accessible simile. I mean, it's, okay, let me just read the lyrics because they're so short. So, after years of waiting, nothing came. As your life flashed before your eyes, you realize, I'm a reasonable man, get off my case.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what do you want to say? Either about, you can say anything.
That's a great line to use in many situations. I'm a reasonable man, get off my case.
It could be the line of the album for me, by the way.
But, yeah, we're reasonable men, get off our cases.
And it's just such a sentiment that so many people feel,
that should
whether
be
justifiably or not.
That should be the name of the episode. I need to back up, though.
Sure.
A very important part of the origin story. So, we're all over the place.
That's okay.
I don't give a shit.
Fuck it.
Yeah. So, yeah, those kids that introduced me to OK Computer, they're like, oh, check this out. It's a band called
Mr. Will, do you smoke pot? Sorry.
Yes. It's a band called Radiohead. I'm like, Radiohead? You mean like the Talking Heads song? They're like, huh? What? And I'm like, yeah,
right.
Radiohead. I mean, that's immediately what I thought of. And then
Mr. Will, you're so cool. Sorry.
And then I find out later that in fact was the inspiration, although as it appears on True Stories, the Talking Heads album, probably if I had to rank their albums, that'd probably be my least favorite, but there are some good tracks on it, including maybe this one. But as it appears on there, it's Radio Space Head. But then the British boys combined it into one word. So
speaking of reducing word length, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what happened just there. Do you know? Okay, there we go. No problem.
Glitch, man.
Yeah. So,
what about the music of this?
The music.
Begins with that metallic. I mean, here's the beep boop.
Yeah,
aspect
exactly.
Of it.
Exactly.
It starts with this, and when I first heard this, I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" But after several listens, I really got into the groove of it, and it is it is a great track. I do like it very much. There's that, electronica.
Yeah, it's dancey.
Yeah, there's the keyboard loop or whatever, and the vocal line is pretty good too.
Yeah, and they're taking no time to kind of make the statement that this is not going to be a guitar rock album. Like, we're going to do what we want. Here's the sound. So, lots of cool. I listened today on my headphones, and lots of like cool panning effects, different glitches coming on my left ear, my right ear.
Right.
You've got kind of kettle drum, sound along with the beat. So you've got this mix of a cleaner electronic sound with something that is kind of being performed.
Mm-hmm.
York's vocals are mostly distorted, and there's some auto-tune elements as well. Colin quoted on this track says, "The kirk from Packed Like Sardines, that's from Tom's laptop. We just compressed messed up loops." So, but yeah, get off my case,
Yeah.
It's, I guess that's a statement for the worker, right?
For the
in many
worker.
cases.
Yeah. For the proletariat.
Yeah, for the proles.
Well, it can be for anyone, Maybe it's the opening salvo of this album. Like you said, this is how it's going to be. You don't like it, fuck off.
Yeah.
Get off my case. This is what we're doing now. So that's admirable. It's kind of like a throwing down of the gauntlet, It's like, this is where we are now.
And then you got you kind of got that existential Samuel Beckett shout out to guitar and pen. After years of waiting, nothing came. You got the Waiting for Godot vibe there.
That is very Beckettian, yeah.
And in a way, I guess you could argue that this, as your life flashed before your eyes, you realize, like, maybe all along I should have been giving myself a break, right? Like, I realized, like, I'm not the one with the problem here. I'm doing my best here, people. Like,
this is the complete set of lyrics, right? Like, it's just these 6 lines. Is there anything else?
I know I messed up, and there are 2 more lines I just realized. It should be also, well, the last line is, "And you realize you're looking in the wrong place." So I missed that line.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, it's clear that in terms of lyrics, York is using the cut up method that, most famously Bowie used, and of course he got it from Burroughs, right? But I guess he was the one who first
callbacks
used
to every previous texting episode.
Yeah, he's the one who and guitar and pen. Just wait, I'll probably mention sound and vision here pretty soon. But
good.
Bowie's the one who probably first introduced that to popular music. But it's clear he's using that. He's just cutting up either popular phrases, banalities, things overheard. I mean, speaking of callbacks, it's also kind of like the T.S. Eliot method in The Wasteland, right? Like, hurry up, please, it's time. You could imagine a phrase like that in a Radiohead song, right? Just something overheard.
Yeah, absolutely. Should we move on to track 2?
Or something, yeah.
Track 2, the arguable masterpiece on the album, Pyramid Song. Do you want to read the lyrics?
Well, I mentioned, in a second, but let me give the origin story here, too. This is used very effectively in the movie Inside. Have you seen that with Willem Dafoe? Got to put that in the show notes. So Willem Dafoe is a thief who is trying to steal this painting from a wealthy person's, not flat, but I mean, it is a flat, but it's like a huge, high-ceilinged, very pricey and expensive apartment. And something goes wrong and he gets locked in and he can't get out. And so
the song plays.
The song is played at the end, and I'm like, whoa, that sounds like Radiohead for sure. And then I noticed it's called Pyramid Song, and then I realized, okay, it's on this album Amnesiac. You wanted to do an album by Radiohead, let's do Amnesiac. So Yeah, great song, haunting, beautiful, rhythmically interesting. I heard that he was inspired by a Charles Mingus song, which is nice. There is quite a jazzy element to this record and this song, this track in particular. I have to say,
Can you read the lyrics before we go any further?
Okay.
Cool.
I jumped in the river and what did I see? Black-eyed angels swam with me. A moon full of stars and astral cars and all the figures I used to see. All my lovers were there with me, all my past and futures. And we all went to heaven in a little rowboat. There was nothing to fear and nothing to doubt.
Sorry to cut you off there. Continue, please.
Well, I was just going to say, I like the Radiohead rhythm section. I think Selway is a very interesting drummer. And Colin Greenwood he's got some really nice bass lines on this record.
And I'm thinking critics or fans, as they were listening I'm just trying to imagine them listening to this album for the first time, again, you wouldn't be able to deny the greatness of the album at this stage of your listening, because you'd be like, holy shit, like even if I'm bitter that I'm not getting my guitar, like if I'm getting a song like this straight up track 2, it's like, okay, these guys are putting in some effort on this album. Although I guess they would have already been primed by Kid A, so maybe that's irrelevant. I want to read a nice quote about this song from John Darnielle of the Mountain Goats.
But do you feel that jazz element? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Are you familiar with
in terms of the drums? Or
yeah, and
I can hear the drums in my head, kind of the little. I don't know the terms though.
Are you familiar? Well, he's doing some interesting fills,
like brushes, or
I don't think he's using brushes on this. Okay. But there's some interesting fills, similar to what you might hear on a Mingus album.
Right. Fills is a good word.
Are you? Yeah, fills.
I don't get that, but okay.
What's Phil Selway?
Oh, my bad. Okay.
PHIL''S.
I'm one of those sucker fans who just gets focused on the lead singer,
Yeah. The pinup with his weird eyes.
Exactly.
I think that's called anoscoria. Bowie had that too. So do I, in fact. But anyway, are you familiar with Mingus? Like, have you listened to much Mingus?
As I like to say, I'm aware of him in the cultural landscape. I really am. Like, I don't think I have an album by him. Mm-hmm. I actually may have one album, but I know he's I have
Mingus.
I may have this Black Saint and the Sinner Lady.
Oh yeah,
I have something in my vinyl collection which doesn't get much play, but
The Clown, that's a great one.
Anyway,
yeah, but when I heard that, I thought, I can see that. Yeah, The Clown, that's a good one. All right.
Yeah, so great lyrics. I love this. I mean, I don't know if we want to talk about anything that comes to mind when you read these lyrics. You've kind of got like an Ophelia allusion maybe in that first line. Black-eyed angels, obviously that's my name, but beyond that, it's an interesting image, right? A black-eyed angel swimming.
What's the significance of pyramid? Like,
I can give you some quotes on that if you want.
Okay, so, yeah.
Oh, and I wanted to read you this really cool quote, too, that I found. So, this is from, this band member of the Mountain Goats. Our opinion on this question is that Pyramid Song is actually a hand reaching out of a rabbit hole, preferring delicious candy. Only the candy is drugged, and there are no rabbits in the hole, just ghosts and the promise of bad times ahead. Sorry. I like that. Okay, now Colin, in an interview at Sundance in 2000, the inception of the song was when we were in Copenhagen, and Tom went round the Museum of Culture. And there was an exhibition of Egyptian underworld and tomb art, of people being ferried across the river of death. I don't know what it's called in Egyptian mythology, and he was very affected by it, and he went back and sat behind the piano and wrote it. And then I already shared with you the quote about him, like referencing Stephen Hawking's Buddhism, and so on.
Okay, well, I thought of D.H. Lawrence's Ship of Death, right? Have you built your ship of death? Have you? So that's probably the little rowboat that's alluded to, right?
Like a Styx vibe.
Well,
No,
not in
that's
the
sorry. Let's go in Greece. Yeah,
not in the Egyptian
my bad. Yeah.
context, but I think Lawrence may have seen some kind of exhibition as well with the ship of death that would have been, I guess, in the pyramid tomb, right, buried with the pharaohs.
So what are we trying to? I mean, is the idea of how is death viewed in general in Egyptian mythology? Do you know?
Well, I mean,
is reincarnation a part of it, or is it not so much?
I don't know that I would say reincarnation. Like the mummification and everything is like an attempt to eternalize the
Right.
Yeah.
And give you some shit to take with you, right? That was like so he gave them all the objects
right.
and so
So
on.
so I mean there's some notion of an afterlife, right? But I don't think actually, you know what? Some people argue that like the Tibetan Book of the Dead is actually derived from the Egyptian Book of the Dead. So maybe there is a belief in a kind of reincarnation or metempsychosis. But when it's, I don't know, when I think of the pharaohs, it's like they're on some kind of egoistic,
Right.
like eternal me trip, right? Like
Right.
I'm the pharaoh, I can never die. I'm almighty and all powerful. I will live forever. I will defeat death through mummification and whatever. But there was this notion that like there's this the Book of the Dead is sometimes called the book of going forth by day or something, and so it talks about what happens after you die, like the soul walks around and goes through all these different dimensions and so on. So maybe it can enter into other bodies after that.
But yeah, I mean, it is interesting. There is like on the surface, there is a little bit of like tension or contradiction between the idea that he's talking about Buddhism and this cyclical nature, and then you've also got the river of death and Egyptian mythology, which we've said is kind of a bit more finite and final. So I don't know how I think you've done a commendable job of resolving those two things, but on the surface, as I said, it isn't necessarily the case that in the Egyptian, what's the cool word for the way that you see life? It's not epistemology, but it's one of those words like that.
Yeah, worldview or
but there's a cooler word. But okay, it seems like what's the study of like is it ontology? Is that the word I want?
Ontology is the study of being.
Yeah, so could I say in the Egyptian ontology? Or no?
I wouldn't. I think epistemology works better there, but that's the way they understand things,
Okay, in the Egyptian epistemology, because I know you're going to edit all this out, so this is just the first. All I'm going to get is you're going to hear me saying in the Egyptian epistemology.
Yeah, I mean AI is gonna chop the shit out of this.
All right, so let's look at the imagery because I think it's very beautiful imagery, and this line, a moon full of stars, it's strange, right? It's intentionally strange, right? You'd think a sky full of stars.
Makes me think
a moon full of stars.
Makes me think of a moon-shaped pool, like that 2015 album of theirs, or 2016.
Right. But agreed. But but this is like intentionally kind of absurd, right? A moon full of stars.
A moon full of stars. Although maybe it's like a reference to the Islamic symbolism, that crescent moon with the stars, that you see on a lot of Islamic country, the flags.
Happy Ramadan
of Islamic
to all of our Islamic listeners.
Countries.
Ramadan is finishing
Ramadan
on Sunday.
Now?
Yeah, bro, it's finishing on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
My boy Hussein, I'm slowing with age.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
But no, my buddy Hussein is just finishing his trip to Mecca. I've seen some interesting pictures.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so
and astral cars, what's that all about? Like satellite dishes, maybe?
I mean, I just thought of it as like star vehicles, like vehicles that take you to the stars, spaceships it could be, right? They carry you to the stars maybe. So that, I don't know, it's a
so it's an Elon Musk tribute.
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
There you go. You can't. I don't think we should overanalyze these cut up lyrics.
It's not overanalyzing. It's just I'm just curious how you take the image.
No, I understand, but it's just kind of a random collision of of words and phrases.
You're trying to say
right?
it's one of those like John Lennon things where he's like, I just say words and like don't try to. Right? What is the John Lennon quote about lyrics? It's like he's got some kind of inane quote.
He was asked what his songs mean, and he said, "Oh, I was taking a shit this morning, and I thought about this, and I wrote a song."
There's some other quote though. It's like about the way that his lyrics. Lennon lyrics quote. I'm gonna be annoying now, but
yeah.
Okay, whatever.
I was just gonna say. I don't think conceptually. I'm not sure how it all ties together. The Egyptian. I mean, pyramid is clearly. There's no doubt that we're talking about something Egyptian there. Although I guess it could be a Mesoamerican pyramid, but anyway, they're basically saying it's an allusion to something Egyptian because that was the inspiration based on what he saw in the museum. But how does that relate to Buddhism and, metempsychosis and so on? I don't know. I think that connection is kind of tenuous.
I agree, but that's why I just kind of want to look at the words and we can analyze a poem closely. Why not analyze these words?
I know, but well, we can. You can do anything, but
thank you.
I just think that with these cut up lyrics, sometimes it's more about the.
I'm not so into that cut up theory, man.
Okay, so you think this is poetry?
Yeah,
pure
that's
and
what I'm
simple?
trying to say. Yeah,
Okay.
I'd like to think so.
All right,
and even if it was cut up, it's still the point of cut up is not to like reduce its weight, or it's like the holiness of the word.
No, I'm saying can't. It's not like this type of songwriting. It's not like Dylan-esque songwriting where you can just read the lyrics on the page as though it were poetry.
I disagree. I think this song has,
but with this, it's
cohesion.
With this, you need the music more so. You need the.
I disagree.
Okay.
Or regardless, I think that the lyrics are of this particular song. You're in the river. You're swimming with these angels. Then you go up and you see the stars, and then of the past, all the figures I used to see. So in this like death state, all the lovers are there, all the past and future, everything's coming together, and we all of us together, all the exes, that's the main emphasis, went to heaven in a little rowboat, and there was nothing to fear and nothing to doubt. So all this dread and anxiety that we're experiencing as we go through life with death trepidation, it's like trying to calm us down,
It's dreadful.
So, I don't know.
All right, move on.
Thank you. Track 3.
At some point, I want to use the phrase "just to put a button on that." I'm waiting for the right moment. Have you heard that? People have been using that in interviews and podcasts recently.
No, it sounds horrible. Like
no,
doublespeak.
It's like.
Is it like a meme?
No. People are like discussing
the piss.
No. People are discussing a particular topic, and then when they want to wrap things up. It's like, just to put a button on that.
Yeah, but it's silly, isn't it?
I don't know. It's kind of like people who say, well, let me unpack that for you. It's just in the air, people are using this phrase. And then it gets adopted by idiots like us. Two creeps on a Skype line call.
From The Office where he's like, that sounds like corporate speak, David. You hate that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think it's time for another sound effect. Which one you want?
Relief. That applause is because we're finally moving on. Okay, so an interesting track, Pulk Pull. I've got an image to accompany this. Are you frozen? You are frozen on my stream. Hello, dear listener. It's just me now. We're live streaming right now. You already know what it is.
Fucking hell.
He's back, ladies and gentlemen.
Never use a sound effect again. Did you see what happened?
No, I just
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Did you see what happened? I tried to use one of those.
Yeah, use the sound effect, yeah.
From the media board, and then my screen went black.
Okay.
So it shut down. Riverside shut down when I tried to use an effect which is on their platform. This is outrageous. We need to switch.
You're really loud for my headphones, by the way.
We need to switch to StreamYard or something. What do you mean I'm loud for your headphones?
When you were shouting, that was
Well,
really
that's because I was
reverberating.
shouting.
Message just came in from Christy saying, "Yay! Amnesiac is my favorite Radiohead album." So
Message in the live stream or via text?
no,
Okay.
in the THC What's Up group.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
It's me, my sister, and Christy. THC.
Oh,
Clever
I see.
there.
Nice.
Okay, can we move on to
We've got a message in the
Pulk
chat.
Pull?
Craig says, "Go for it, Tomek." Maybe that happened when I was off screen. So, all right, Pulk Pull.
Shout outs to Craig. Okay, so
This is
I know
another.
you like to start with definitions, Mark.
What-
Do you know what pulk means?
No, I don't want to start with that. I want to start with another annoying song title.
As long as it's not an origin story.
The first time I heard Pulk Pull.
All right, go on.
No, I don't like it. Like when I see that, I think I feel like it's cringy. Like what? What do you mean Pulk Pull? Push pull? Pulk pull? What
It's
the
not,
fuck
it's
is that?
pulk.
I know.
Yeah, but I mean, like, pulk is a thing.
Yeah, but I don't like it. So go ahead.
Because you didn't understand what pulk meant.
Yeah.
Well, a pulk, Mark, is a sled that is being pulled by dogs while a person skis behind it to maneuver the vehicle.
I know that now. And what's the point of that?
While Radiohead has not yet disclosed why pulk is included in the title, it could further tie into the song's symbolism for control and decision-making, given that pulks have to be maneuvered by humans in order for the sled's movement to be directed.
How long was I out of the chat? Was that like 2 minutes? Seemed like an eternity.
2 minutes or so.
What did you do? Did you carry on? Am I going to have to cut all that out?
I attempted to carry on for a second, and then I went to my phone and publicized the show.
Okay. AI is going to have a field day with this.
So, let me show
Should
an
I
image
try another
as well.
sound effect?
Please no. All right, so here's another image, and maybe you did know this, maybe you didn't.
Okay.
But speaking to your cut-up fascination,
Mhm.
this is
How about sound and vision?
rather explicitly a borrowed song, and we can see this book, I believe from 1973, quite an odd book, How Things Work, and this kind of poem / explanatory text called "There's More to a Door Than You Think." It's kind of got like a Dr. Seuss vibe to it.
Mhm.
I quite like it, and
It's too small. I can't read it.
I mean, I think we can just stick with the text of the song itself, but you know, somebody can go look that up and see the similarities. I'll
I
just
can
read the
read
first.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just read the first stanza. I don't think we need to read the whole thing. There are barn doors and there are revolving doors. Doors in the rudders of big ships. And there are revolving doors. I think we already mentioned that one, Tom. Okay, lots of other types of doors. Maybe we can talk just about the aesthetic of this song.
Well,
it's considered more of a spoken word track.
You're omitting the most important line, and there are
Okay, go on.
and there are trap doors that you can't come back from. I mean, that
True.
coming immediately after Pyramid Song, it's like that seems to be a reference to death. But if death is not the end, do we not have a contradiction here? I mean, is the trap door itself also a revolving door? Because you can't come back from it, apparently, but actually you do. The trap door is actually just a revolving door. Did you ever think about that?
Makes me think of season 1, episode 2 of Severance, which is my new show that I'm watching.
What's that?
Have you fucked with that?
No, I don't know what that is.
It's like the most hyped series right now. It's been around for about 2 years. It's kind of like a Broken Mirror. Sorry, Broken Mirror. It's kind of like a Black Mirror vibe. It's actually directed by Ben Affleck, but it has Patricia Arquette, which is funny because she's been on my radar lately with Lost Highway and Boyhood, which I love.
Yeah.
So she's got an important role. Christopher Walken made a cameo in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
But it's I'll just give you the premise and then we'll stop talking about it. But there's a new technology where this major pharmaceutical company, you could argue, offers people the chance to sever their brains and completely isolate their work life and their personal life so that you don't remember anything when you're at work, you don't know anything about your personal life, and when you're at your personal life, you don't know anything about what you do at work.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think you should check it out. I think you'll like it.
There's some encouragement for you.
Thank you. But anyway, I know what I want to say. That so in that episode, the character regrets doing the severance surgery, and she tries
Patricia
to run out
Arquette?
of this. No, it's another character. Patricia Arquette is a more like villain here. She like is the one enforcing people.
Okay.
So, but there's this new employee who just started work, and she on day one she doesn't like it. So they say, okay, you can go out this door to the stairwell, and she goes out the door, and then like she's still in the same room basically, and so she just like the door doesn't actually lead anywhere, and it kind of she realizes she's fucked. But anyway, it was quite clever the way they shot it. So
Ben Affleck, huh?
Barn Doors. Yeah, I wouldn't really call myself a Ben Affleck fan, but it's stylistic, and so far it's got some interesting premises.
Black Mirror really took a nosedive, didn't it?
Is that a pun?
Yeah.
Okay,
But it's true. But it's true.
Yeah,
that last season was pretty weak.
It was weak. It was horrible. That Miley Cyrus episode. That was
that was interesting
shocking.
Because it had that Trent Reznor 9 Inch Nails song.
Actually, did the episode with the gay black guy who like goes more gay in the martial arts game, the video game, was that in the last season? Because I thought that was quite clever.
Dueling Vipers or Fighting Vipers or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that was
in the last season?
No, that was
previous, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, the last season had like Salma Hayek. Why the fuck are we talking about this? We don't need to get into
come on,
this.
man.
Salma Hayek. Everybody hates Joan, or Joan is awful, or something. Whatever.
Yeah, but shout out to the original Black Mirror. Television doesn't get much better. Yeah, I like this track. I think it's essentially like a glorified interlude, but
yeah,
and I don't know but I think it works as that. It like really is a nice segue between.
Well, this is one of those
standout tracks.
Valleys I was talking about. I said, there are peaks and valleys. You said, yeah, but you gotta have
no. Don't use that voice.
You gotta have the valleys, or you can't appreciate the peaks.
So what? Should I work on my like imitation voice then as well?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, so I was like, that's one of the valleys.
That's good.
I don't know. I know I got to work on it. But as I said, I think just as when you're watching a dramatic play, you need moments of comic relief. You need to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
This is our little intermission, and I think it's an interesting song. And it is the least listened to track again on most streaming platforms. So it's not a song that people are like, "Yo, let's put on pull revolving doors." But as part of the album experience, I think we had a pretty interesting discussion about this on WhatsApp. But like for me, when you've listened to an album as a whole, you can't. It's very hard for me to pinpoint weak points because it's
like On the Run on Dark Side of the Moon. It's just kind of an instrumental interlude which creates a mood, and if you take it out of the context of the album, it's like almost meaningless. Right. Yeah, so I understand, like they're doing concept albums, which I approve of, which I like, and maybe it's like Fitter Happier on OK Computer. It has that same role to play.
And I prefer this just thinking now, like but like a lot of rap albums, they have a lot of skits, and skits are more annoying because like for me they only have minimal replay value, whereas like this track, it's still you're still able to kind of stay in the album experience. It's not so you don't need to like skip so much. You just kind of are taking a breather. So
well, before we move, just note that the other salient aspect of this song is the processed vocals, like it's completely processed and filtered and played with. I think in fact I think I read that it was spoken word originally and they put it through some vocoder plug in or something, and then it like created a melody. So this is totally an artificial construction, you know.
Also, if we want to come back to the idea of the Minotaur and the labyrinth, you could say that, all these doors are very confusing and tricky to navigate.
All right, let's move.
Let's move. Okay, hope you enjoy my artistic interpretation of this song. I've got our favorite pantomime villain, Tony Blair, in bottom right. I don't know if I used that phrase correctly.
He's a total.
That suggests that
he's a total.
He's not a villain.
He's a total bottom. Oh, I thought that's what you meant. Pantomime villain. Pantomime villain.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Well,
they're just words.
A villain that appears in a pantomime. He's kind of that.
That's a bit too literal.
It's. I mean, if politics are just a shadow play, then he certainly fits into that role.
But isn't the idea of a pantomime villain the idea that like we're blaming somebody who doesn't deserve it? You're
echoing according to Craig, but I don't know. I don't hear it. Maybe Riverside will fix that in post since it's so good at everything it does. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, anyway,
I don't know. Is he a pantomime villain? I don't know. Is he a pantomime?
All right, let me read my little Tony Blair quote.
Willem Dafoe?
Let me read my little Tony Blair quote.
Okay.
Blair emerged as the song's real subject matter. The song's ultimately about someone who is elected into power by people and who then blatantly betrays them, just like Blair did. At the same time, I think he couldn't help betraying this country. I think the man's a fool. He's just a product of his time, like any important public figure.
Including Tom York? Is he just a product of his own time? Okay, so...
He's a hero of our time. Hashtag Lermontov.
There you go. This is a highlight for me. I mean,
Me too.
That 1 minute or 1.5 minutes when the band kicks in on the We Ride Tonight, that's amazing. Fantastic. Beautiful. That's like one of the best things I've heard them do. Okay, we got another note here in the chat. A pantomime villain in both British theatrical and figurative context is a character archetype often seen as a cartoonishly villainous figure. Hey, that's him. God damn, this thing disappears before I can finish. Someone the audience loves to hate.
Audience, yeah.
That fits in perfectly, so well done. You chose the right phrase.
In a sense, but I will say, like, the way I hear it again is sometimes there's an insinuation that it's unjustified, that, like, our anger should be directed somewhere else. Right. Which you could say as well here.
Yeah. I mean... Because
he's just a puppet,
Yeah, he's a puppet, exactly. Of the wealthy elite that visit Epstein's island.
I think the lyrics are a highlight for me here. I mean, at this time, now we're very quick to make these like Rome analogies. It's like that's kind of like the common parlance for interpreting American empire is like, oh, it's the decline of the Roman Empire and so on. It was one of the first times I was really like exposed to this idea was when I was listening to this album and like we were, oh yeah, this is the Holy Roman Empire, bros, and this was George Bush in his full pomp. So I think it really just expressed
Holy Roman Empire is not the same thing as Roman Empire, but close enough.
Well, go on then. I don't mind.
Well, that's the joke that historians tell or make, right? It wasn't holy, it wasn't Roman, and it wasn't an empire, so it's completely it's a complete misnomer. All right, let's move, man. We're taking too long. What do you mean why?
Your endurance is kicking in.
Yeah. It's 2:15 here.
All right.
In the morning.
Okay, well, a great song.
It is.
Okay.
As is this one.
Yeah, let me give a quick explanation of the slide and then I'll let you pontificate. So, some people say that this is an allusion to the quote from Bertrand Russell, "I would never die for my beliefs because I might be wrong." That's also the name of the track.
That made me like, when you told me that, it made me like it even more.
What do you like about it?
Already. No, just the fact that they're alluding to this Bertrand Russell quote. That's, I don't know, it deepens my appreciation.
Allegedly.
But, yeah, allegedly. But, yeah, the riff, man. This, if we were gonna play clips, I would play a clip of this riff because it's fantastic. So here we get the guitar that rockers like myself need and want. So definitely a highlight for me. And yeah, let's go down the waterfall. That's great. Open up, begin again. This is a banger, as the kids say, as the millennials say, the Zoomers.
Yeah, I've put the Sex Pistols "No Future" in bottom right because we get this this line. There was no future left at all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on. We have Knives Out.
Another highlight.
This is yeah.
We got three bangers in a row.
It seems like they personally were a bit lukewarm and tepid about it initially. They said they felt like it was quite a straight ahead track, like almost too simplistic. Their quote, Tom York was quoted as saying, "We've got to put that in the bin. It's too straight." We couldn't possibly do anything that straight until we'd gone and been completely arse about face with everything else. In order to feel good about doing something straight like that, it took 373 days to be arse about face enough to realize it was all right the way it was. It's kind of a funny quote.
I don't see it as that straight ahead. I mean, it's clearly a Smith's. I won't say parody, but maybe it's more of a Smith's tribute, like very much that Johnny Marr guitar vibe. But it's great. It works well. The lyrics are not really Morrissey-esque, so it's not a.
But you have enjoyed
blatant Smith
taunting me with them.
Yeah, I love it.
I mean,
weeks. The aggressiveness and you know, viciousness of the lyrics are great. Shove it in your mouth. You know, if you'd been a dog, they would have drowned you at birth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put him in the pot, squash his head, cook him up.
Yeah, so we get a kind of release coming here, I think. On the general meaning of the song, Tom says, "Knives Out is not exactly cruelty. Let's rather say that to express some feelings. I can't help but use some violent vocabulary."
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's also just a quick notice named after the 1972 Columbo episode, not the Agatha Christie story, apparently.
Okay, I was going to say it's another pretentious title, but it's kind of like found poetry. There's a lot of that. You know what I mean? Found poetry, like you pluck and...
Wasn't that essentially the same thing as cut up?
Yeah, but cut up involves the combination. Found poetry is just like, you know, presenting something that you've plucked from the air or from the zeitgeist or the environment. You know, like better living through chemistry. It's an ad from DuPont, you know, and then Don DeLillo uses it as one of the chapter headings in Underworld.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be an example of found poetry, I guess. I like that kind of thing. I think that makes me appreciate it more. So again, we got three bangers in a row. And then we come to another one of the valleys, Morning Bell. I know you like it, but you can go ahead and explain why.
I like it. I mean, Radiohead fanatics will know that this is a remake in a way, or a second version of a track that appears on Kid A.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that, which is how naive I am. So I don't have like the greatest Radiohead credentials. I've listened to them, but until this pod, I didn't really bother too much with the research end of things. Yeah, I think some of the vocal performance is excellent. Like the "Release Me." So it's a very melodic song, and it's arguably about divorce. Right? You can keep the furniture. It's a very classic. I want random words that come into my mind, like alimony, but that's not the right words. Settlement,
community property.
Where'd you park the car? I think that's a great line. I like the way he sings that. And then, of course, cut the kids in half.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great line. But musically, you know, it's too much of a dirge. I mean, maybe it comes at the right time, roughly midway, or past the midway point, but doesn't do much for me. You know, it's not like... if I'm listening the whole album, I won't skip it. But if I just wanted to listen to a Radiohead song, I certainly wouldn't pick this.
Okay. For me, it's a beautiful song. Do you know the reference from Cut the Kids in Half?
Well, if we're talking about divorce, it's about visitation and custody, right? Well,
Do you
are
know
you
the
talking
biblical
about? Are you
reference?
talking about? Well, biblical Solomon.
Yeah, that's right. All right.
Who do you think you're talking to?
Well, Okay, I'll just read a tiny bit of information I've got here. Although most of the lyrics are the same as the Kid A version, there are some noticeable differences in some verses, as well as a slower tempo, a chiming xylophone-like instrumentation, and the entire outro being replaced with the refrain. There's also a complete meter change from 5/4 in the original to 4/4 in this version. Sorry?
Really bad now. Is your connection okay?
I'm echoing.
No, it's like glitchy and patchy. Now it's okay.
Shit. Okay.
It's okay now.
Well, my nation is at war, Mark, okay? Cut me some slack.
I've heard that, yeah.
Okay, are we going to move on?
Yeah, I hope so. Oh, you're frozen.
I'm feeling the glitch as well.
He's frozen. I'm still moving. Tomek is frozen. Maybe I should play some more sound effects.
I don't know if I should sign out or something.
Let's go back to, let's see. Oh, you back? You there?
I'm here, but I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Now it's okay. I was about to...
The funny thing is, regarding the echo,
cancel your screen
I do hear
share.
myself.
There's a slight echo. I think it'll be okay when we process it. I was about to cancel your screen share and play more music, but all right, Dollars and Cents. This is a good one. This is a good track. I like this.
Yep.
Interesting.
I like that it's kind of shouting out the main two demographics that's in the audience. Sorry, I know we got a lot of American listeners and Brits, so we'll say we are the Dollars and Cents and the Pounds and Pence.
Anglo-American transatlantic culture, stand up.
As I say that, I just realized that the next line is "and the mark and the yen." So shout out to the Deutschland and the Japanese as well, right? Japanese using the yen?
Yeah, Craig offered to chat with me while you were out of commission, but since you're back, the instrumentally or musically, this is interesting. There's kind of a twangy. It's not distorted guitar part, but there's just, I guess I'd call it twangy. It's interesting. I like this song. It's good.
Yeah, agreed. See if I have any fun facts for you.
Be constructive with your blues. I like that.
The song originally came out of an 11-minute improvisation session by the band, editing down the best parts and featuring a one-take vocal performance from Tom York, who states of the song that his lyrics were gibberish. Lyrically, I like doing things like that. It was about being in the moment.
We all have goals in a liberal world. There was something else. Hey, where are you going? What are you doing?
Sorry. Yeah.
You don't live in a business world. We all have goals in a liberal world. I remember it differently. Am I missing something here?
Let me double check. I have another text open where I have... You don't live in a business world and he never goes and you never stay. We all have goals in a liberal world, living in times when I could stand it, babe. Looks okay.
Okay. I thought he said something like, we won our goals in a liberal world. Where did I see that? Anyway, carry on.
The crack your little souls is a great line.
Mm-hmm.
Crack your little souls. And yeah, the be constructive, be productive.
We won.
Let's not lose our...
We won our goals in a liberal world. So the phrasing's a little bit different.
Okay.
I don't know where the difference comes in. I'd have to research it more carefully. I like that phrasing better. We won our goals in a liberal world. I mean, I think that could apply to Radiohead in a way too. They're kind of an iconic shit lib band, aren't they? I mean, you can see them.
I'd like to say they're a bit anti-capitalist for the shit lib.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the Radiohead fans I know are a bit more self-aware.
But they're, maybe a band that the Zionists could get behind too.
Okay, Alex Jones.
Am I
don't
wrong?
know what I mean by that.
Am I wrong?
I don't know. I'm above that.
Oh, you're above that. Okay. All right.
No, not really. I just don't know if I want to go there right now.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. We've got an instrumental track, which is kind of cool to have on an album, Hunting Bears. Do you like this song?
Guitar, interesting guitar, but obviously they're editing it and processing it and, you know, chopping it up in a strange way. So yeah, it's
Moving
just
on?
it's just another one of the valleys, but in the context of the album it's fine. I don't dislike it.
Okay, this track I find to be one of the highlights. You have singled it out as a track that you found dreadful or dread-inducing. Do you
initially
find any merits in it?
I don't know any merit in it. I like the allusion to Cloud Cuckoo Land. Aristophanes, stand up.
Well, you know, the way they recorded this is like very interesting. Tom's vocals played backwards, which sound like actual words because he sang them backwards.
Yeah, okay. I'm being cut to shreds. Cut up.
Yeah, so the song was built from a reversed, mangled version of I Will. Tom later relearned to sing it backwards so he could perform it live forward. And he once introduced this song saying, "This is dedicated to our glorious leaders, or at least some of them, who saw fit to take us to a war that nobody wanted, kill thousands, if not tens of thousands of innocent people, and they should go to their graves with that on their consciences." So I think that's a good fuck you to the shit lib allegation.
Why is that?
Bit.
Why is that like spinning plates? Because is it again that cyclical, circular
while you make pretty
pattern
speeches
that we've commented on?
I think so. I think maybe
is he also alluding to his work as a DJ? He's spinning plates or donuts, as
dub plates.
Jay
Or
Dilla
donuts.
would have it.
Yeah.
And then there's the river again. Jumped in the river.
Right.
What did I see? My body's floating down the muddy river. Another death image.
Yeah, just sonically, I love this kind of more electronic sound. And
see, that's the part that made me feel like I was losing my mind. But again, I think I was watching the video the first time I listened, and it's just the combination was just very unsettling. Or maybe it was my mood. But yeah, not a highlight for me.
Okay. All right. Have we reached the final track?
Oh my God, we made it. Yeah.
It's true. Okay, Life in a Glass House.
Another highlight.
According to Tom York.
Yeah.
Sorry, really quickly. According to Tom York, these lines originate from an interview he read about the wife of a famous actor who the tabloids completely hounded for 3 months like dogs from hell. She got the copies of the papers with her picture, and she posted them up all over the house, over all the windows, so that all the cameras that were outside on her lawn only had their own images to photograph. I thought that was brilliant, and that's where the song started from.
Keira Knightley.
Was it?
I don't know. I just thought of her.
Okay.
For some reason, that
is interesting.
Yeah, when you were saying that, I just imagined it being her. I wonder if I'm right.
We know that they've struggled a lot with fame. There's a documentary about them. I can't remember what the name is right now. Meeting People is Easy, 1998. And I think one of the main focuses of that film is like their struggles with the limelight.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, obviously this is the most jazzy of all the tracks. So, you know, I commend them for their experimentation, and it's one of the highlights for me.
I've heard it described as a drunken jazz funeral dirge.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah. So there's kind of, I mean, maybe there's that Mingus influence again here too. Like if you listen to The Clown, or even something like Haitian Fight Song. Yeah, I like it. It's great that you've got these diverse influences, you know, like drunken New Orleans jazz with electronica, with, you know, sampling, with heavy rock guitar, with funky bass.
Yeah, shout out to the English trumpeter Humphrey Littleton, who appears on this track.
And his band, which I think includes his son or some family members. Right? There's a clarinet on here too. It's not just trumpet. And
just really epitomizes Radiohead lyricism, like a lot of the themes that we see, right? Like packed like frozen food and battery hens. So this criticism of mass consumerism, coming back to the packed like sardines.
Exactly.
The criticism of authoritarianism. Your Royal Highnesses, this really sarcastic Hail to the Thief kind of stuff.
Mhm.
This really sarcastic don't talk politics and don't throw stones. Like, just be neutered. You know, that's like a very, very classic Tom York lyric. Like, just do as you're told, right?
Mhm.
Don't talk politics. I love the way that the next two lines sound. Well, of course, I'd like to sit around and chat. Of course, I'd like to stay and chew the fat, but someone's listening in, so we got mass surveillance. I mean, all the themes are making a cameo in this
Once
final
again,
track.
we are hungry for a lynching. Compare
Yes,
Burn the Witch.
absolutely.
Burn the Witch.
Yep. And that savagery of
Shove it in your mouth. Put him in the pot.
yeah. So a lot of great lyricism here, and good for venting when you're in a mood. Let's say where you're in a corporate 9 to 5, right? And you've been shat on all week, and time to put on your Radiohead album in the evening.
Yeah.
And drink some Bud Light.
It's a great conclusion. I mean, a fitting conclusion to a great album. Let's put it that way.
Word up.
So, yeah, now that we've completed our track-by-track analysis, like, do you have final
Which
thoughts?
has definitely had its own peaks and valleys, just like
yeah, more
some tracks we did more justice to than others.
more valleys than peaks. But I think we've provided a good introduction to those not familiar with
primer.
it. And I thoroughly enjoyed listening to this.
I'm glad.
Probably, from start to finish, I probably listened 20 times in the last however long we've been preparing this, 2 weeks, I guess. It's been a while since we decided on the topic and planned to record, but I listened. I feel like I know this album extremely well. Like
Awesome.
I know this album better. Before I would say OK Computer is the album I know best because it's basically the only album I really know in its entirety. But now I know Amnesiac better than any other. And it's not like
I feel happy to hear that.
Yeah, and it's not like I'm pleased with that too because it's not like they're most recognizable or most well known. Like it's probably well, you said it's Christie's favorite, right? So
there are a lot of people who ride hard for this album.
Okay, so
to the point where there's even backlash now.
Okay.
About that, like it had a spell where it like enjoyed that kind of maybe not like the predominant cult classic of Radiohead fans, and now there's some revision going on. I've just been following in the Radiohead Reddit group, so yeah.
Well, for me, it was like I knew nothing about it other than that it includes Pyramid Song, and then as I say, when I found out that was released on my 30th birthday, apparently it's like that's got to be the one. You know? So very much enjoyed the experience. It's great. It is, it's undeniably great. Like even if you don't like your
Johnny Greenwood's politics.
Yeah, Johnny Greenwood's politics or York's, or if you find him as a public figure annoying or at times cringe inducing. I mean, there's some great songwriting. The band kicks ass, as I say, I really like the rhythm section. And I like the guitarists. So maybe the member I like least is actually York, oddly enough. Like
I think his voice is incredible. I love his voice.
It has its moments, like I mean it works.
He takes it seriously,
well.
It's a lot of training. Nice duet with him and Bjork, by the way. I can't remember the name right now, but it's cool to hear these two voices like combine. I've Seen It All is the name of a track that is a very nice showcase of both of their vocals.
We'll put that in the show notes.
Awesome.
I feel like this has been a disaster with all our technical difficulties.
Come on, man.
I'm like out of it. I know I've just babbled.
You're fine.
But we're gonna put the AI on it, cut out all the awkward pauses, clean it up real nice, so we have a cooked version. But
this is podcast to cook to. No pun intended. Like Tom.
Put it in the pot.
My buddy Tom.
Put it in the pot.
This is what he puts on when he cooks. He puts on texting.
Okay.
So, it's just good to have a couple cool guys from Skype, to listen to when you're boiling water.
Creeps on Skype. Yeah.
All right, Mark, tell us a little bit about what
pot.
Our listeners can expect next.
Shove it in your mouth. That's what they should expect. Put them in the pot. while cooking. All right, so episode 5 of season 4 will be Michael Parenti's lecture on the gangster state. I don't have the exact title, unfortunately. Let me see if I can quickly find that. You want to play some music while I'm looking it up?
Well, I want to say that here in St. Petersburg, I'm going to be giving a talk next Saturday about gangsters and food in film.
Okay.
And
nice tie-in.
So, yeah, and also I think that as I get older, you know, we really need to think of gangster as not just people that exist in the criminal world, quote unquote criminal world. Like there are plenty of gangsters, as I'm sure this guy is going to argue, who are actually running governments.
Here it is. Michael Parenti's a brilliant historian. I read his Assassination of Julius Caesar, which is somewhere on my shelf. Here it is. Yeah, I don't know if you can even see this there. The Assassination of Julius Caesar, A People's History of Ancient Rome. I mean, you stopped the screen sharing. We're so big now.
It's nice.
Our ugly mugs are taking up the entire screen. So
I can stop squinting.
Yeah, so it's this is a great book, but he also is known for his lectures, and the one I'm talking about is on the Our Hidden History YouTube channel. It's called The JFK Assassination and the Gangster Nature of the State. And so the reason he's interested in Julius Caesar, I believe, even though he doesn't specifically say so, is that he seems to think that, you know, JFK was basically the American Julius Caesar, like the way the power elite chose to take out one of their own. So the whole point is that, you know, the slightest deviation from the status quo will get you whacked. And now that we just had this new release of some more JFK files, I thought it would be a good time to watch this. It's been on my list of texts for actually a couple of years. It's brilliant. It's great.
Basically, you're trying to capitalize on Joe Rogan's slight dip in ratings and try to draw some of his listeners, right?
That's of course
the JFK aficionados.
Of course, that was my intention. It's not that I'm actually interested in the topic. I'm just trying to get clicks, baby, and subs.
You're capitalizing on the kairos.
Yes.
There's a Latin term for you.
That's Greek, actually, but carry on.
You fucking asshole.
Well, actually, it's... No, I've just been... I think I told you I did an interview with Dr. Robert M. Price on Books Are Burning. Fascinating author who, as he says, has a Jekyll and Hyde sort of dichotomy. Like he's interested in the works of Lovecraft, but he's also a biblical scholar, right? And so he was telling me about this guy named Dr. Charles Amon Hillman. And I've been watching his videos the past few days. He basically argues that Jesus was the leader of a pederastic sex cult, which used drugs to manipulate and initiate underage boys. And he's got like the textual evidence for this.
Of course he does.
As I think I told you, I'm now translating the Gospel of Mark just because, you know, it was written by my namesake. And so there's this passage in chapter 14 where Jesus is, when he's arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane, he's with a naked boy who then flees, right? So what's Jesus doing at 4 a.m. at a graveyard with a naked boy when he's arrested? So Dr. Amon argues that,
listeners,
you know,
I disavow myself from all comments made on the texting episode in the last 3 minutes. Thank you.
Why?
Sorry,
you haven't even heard. You haven't even heard the
my Lord and personal Savior. You fucking.
Oh, okay. Well, he said. So he says that, you know, you've bought into the fairy tale. You got to go to the to the text. He was a teenage fundamentalist preacher, actually. And then once he started studying Greek, he became an apostate. Because he's like, oh, this is total bullshit. Like organized mainstream, official Christianity, they've completely distorted the reality. And if you go back to the original Greek text, you'll see that this is something completely different is at play here. And of course, this is all part of my, generalized study of the psychedelic nature of the Gospels. I've been reading a lot about that. This is not really.
It's also going to segue nicely into my next episode choice, which is going to be about the fake moon landing.
Okay, less interesting, but if that's
I'm kidding.
If that's
by the
what
way. I'm taking the piss.
I don't see how that relates to the psychedelic Gospels, but whatever. Anyway, those of you interested in the next text is called The JFK Assassination and the Gangster Nature of the State. That will be episode 5 of season 4. And this has been...
It's been a closer look at Radiohead's Amnesiac with me, Black-Eyed Angel.
And me, Kid MW. All right, so this has been season 4, episode 4. Find us on Substack. I'm at Mark Will Wright, WRITE.substack.com. My co-host is at tomekb.substack.com.
Take care, everybody.
See you next time.